takes us, oh, no, it's working.
Okay, if we'll turn to page 34 in the Gold Prayer Book, and we'll say the Shakyamuni Buddha mantra, Medicine Buddha stanza and mantra, and the four immeasurables. Teata Om Mune Mune Maha Munaye Soha. Teata Om Mune Mune Maha Munaye Soha. Teata Bhagawan with equal compassion for all, whose name when merely heard dispels the suffering of the lower realms, dispeller of disease and the three poisons, I prostrate to Medicine Buddha, lapis light. Teata Om Bekanse, Maha Bekanse, Raja Samudgate Soha. 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 May all sentient beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May all sentient beings be inseparable from the happiness that is free from suffering. May all sentient beings abide in equanimity, free from attachment for friends and hatred for enemies. May all sentient beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May all sentient beings be inseparable from the happiness that is free from suffering. May all sentient beings abide in equanimity, free from attachment for friends and hatred for enemies. And if we'll flip to page 37, we'll chant the four immeasurables in Tibetan. Sem chen tam che de wa dang de we gyu dang den par gyur chig du ngao dang du ngao gi gyu dang drel war gyur chig du ngao me pe de wa dang mi drel war gyur chig nye ring chag dang ni dang drel wei tang nyam la ne par gyur chig. And now Chenrezig's mantra 8 times and Green Tara's mantra 7 times. Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Tare Tu Re So Ha. 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 And now on page 246, we'll say the first stanza of Master Shantideva's Bodhikarayavatara 3 times. May all beings everywhere, plagued by sufferings of body and mind, obtain a notion of happiness and joy by virtue of my merits. May all beings everywhere, plagued by sufferings of body and mind, obtain a notion of happiness and joy by virtue of my merits. May all beings everywhere, plagued by sufferings of body and mind, obtain a notion of happiness and joy by virtue of my merits. Okay, the children can go to their classes now. Watch out for the cables.
Watch out for the cable. Watch the cable. Okay, good morning. Good morning. I'll follow the suit of Geshe-la, and why don't you take 2 minutes and introduce each other and just welcome new members if you meet anyone. How are you, Siri?
Hello, darling. I thought I would come and say thank you.
Oh, thank you. right. Andre, how are you? Oh yeah, I'm going to ring. It's over there. All right. Hey. So good to see you.
I am expecting a phone call, so if you see me get up,
Oh, please.
just please know that
You know, transparent here. Come on. Thank you. Thank you.
Dharma comes all the way out here.
Oh, thank you. All right. Thank you. So, welcome to the session today. I would like to start by saying that I was thinking about it this morning. How can I introduce this session properly? And it kept coming in my mind that we don't realize how fortunate we are. That Geshe not only takes time patiently to teach this topic, but he has done it many times. And believe me, personally speaking, it helps me when he repeats himself, because sometimes it doesn't stick in this thick head. But when you hear him again and again, two things come to my mind. It starts to settle in. And next, also it comes to my mind that it's important because he said this so many times, and it's very helpful. So I really, deep from my heart, I want to thank Geshe for the teachings, and especially on the money mantra. He spent 3 sessions basically, has done it many times, but at least for the last couple of months, July 28th to August 11th, he spent some time talking about the money mantra and the importance of the money mantra. So that's the topic today. We are just basically going to review his teachings. Okay, this is not something new. It is purely from what he has said. I've been to his sessions and I've listened to the recording. So I also would like you to know that everything is recorded. When you go back and if you have a question in your mind, it is wonderful to go back to the Kadampa Center site and then go to the recording, look up the date, click OK, and there you go. You can hear the entire teachings of Geshe. Okay, so we're going to be focusing on the compassion mantra, and we'll start by a brief meditation and setting the intention or the motivation. Okay, so if I sit comfortably, we'll do a short meditation. Okay, for those that are familiar, the 7-point meditation posture. Keep your back straight, relaxed, upright, but not tight. Your legs, if you're sitting on a cushion, legs are crossed like a vajra or a full lotus position. If you're sitting on a chair, feet are flat on the floor. Your arms are relaxed on the lap, and the right hand over the left, and the thumbs are touching each other like a teardrop. Your head is slightly tilted forward. Your jaw and your mouth relaxed, and the teeth slightly apart. Your tongue, the tip of the tongue is on the back of the upper palate behind the teeth. And your eyes can be gently open or closed. Relax and scan your body from toes, go all the way up, and release any tension you may have. And now focus on your breath. Breath is neutral. Just see if you can concentrate on your breath. Notice the cool tingling on your nostrils or your abdomen going in when exhaling and out when inhaling. You can focus on one of those, whichever is comfortable. And if you notice that your mind is wandering or starts to wander, just look at that thought and gently bring it back to the breath. And let's do that for a few minutes. Just keep your focus on the breath. Now, with a calmer state of mind, let's set our intention. We all know that we want to develop our positive qualities. And we know we want to be happier and have less suffering. We know that we are beginning to get some confidence that this is possible. As we look at others, including all sentient beings, we see they want to be happy too and don't want to suffer. We know they want happiness, so we want happiness for them, and that's compassion. So on the basis of developing our own qualities all the way to Buddhahood, may we be able to benefit every single sentient being. How amazing. And for this reason, we will review Geshe-la's teaching and practice of the mantra of compassion, Om Mani Padme Hum. Thank you. Okay. I'm sorry, I'm missing some slides there. Okay. Before we get into the Mani mantra and the syllables, which some of you may be familiar with, I don't know how many people are brand new here, first time today? Okay, good. So I'll kind of make sure that I link you into what we are doing today, because it's a review of some classes that we've done in the past, so we'll talk about it. So we'll set the stage. So I was thinking about how Geshe-la started this initial teaching, the last round. I'm talking about the last 3 classes. And he spent an entire class, and then at the end of the class, he joked and says, "Oh, we didn't even talk about the Mani mantra. Maybe next time." He did that. And so I was thinking about it. I said, why? It was so important. The class was absolutely excellent. And then you realize when you heard the recording again, he was setting the stage. He's setting the stage slowly for us to think a certain way. And then see, this is what the mantra means. Really comprehensive way of looking at it. Our mind goes to what he's talking about, a title, and saying, okay, that's good next time. And then we go on doing our things. But if you really look at how he led everybody's mindset to then get into the mantra, it was wonderfully and skillfully done, as Geshe-la always does. And so I will say that let's start by rejoicing the fact that we are fortunate that he has really taken 3 or 4 sessions, and not only this time, but many, many times, to teach us this compassion mantra. So we'll review today the 6-syllable mantra of the mantra of compassion. It's associated with Chenrezig or Avalokiteshvara. These are 2 words. They use Chenrezig, a Buddha of compassion. And you see him depicted in a 1,000-arm form or a 4-arm with a wish-fulfilling jewel in his hand. These are the 2 depictions of Chenrezig. And His Holiness is also associated with Chenrezig, and he is here with us. So you have to kind of think about how fortunate we are. So to set the stage, Geshe-la started with a question to the audience, right? He said, can somebody tell me what's the difference between pity and compassion, right? I know so many people participated. We probably don't have time to go through the entire piece, but many of you participated. And if you were to take a summary of that, a lot of us thought that, that pity meant feeling sorry for someone, right? That it meant like you were above somebody, right? Or looking down on someone. Whereas compassion generally was thought to be empathy on even ground, just feeling compassionate for someone. That was the general discussion. And Geshe-la applauded all of those responses. But then the conversation went to, is it important to be on a cushion and develop compassion? That's where a lot of other responses came up. For some, it was not possible sitting on a cushion. How do you develop compassion sitting on a cushion? For others, they thought about, hey, if you tell me this is a hospice or this is a hospital, and if I'm trained and if I go there, I'm in the action, I'm in the thick of the thing, and I'm feeling compassionate and helping out, right? And then I know Jill responded at one point and said, think about mother sentient beings and all the kindness of mother sentient beings. So a lot of her advanced training came into real quick trigger, and you can do it so many different ways. But anyways, again, the point being, Geshe-la is leading towards something here. He's making this conversation for us to think, what is compassion? If you're going to do a mantra on compassion Buddha or mantra of compassion, it's important to understand what compassion means to each and one of us, right? So he's setting the stage for that. The another question where it really took a turn and Geshe-la really started talking about it is one of the member asked this question, and I will paraphrase it to keep it on a neutral side. The question was raised, how can you develop compassion for someone who is in a position of power and very negative state of mind and harms others? This person was up there, says, I simply cannot do it, right? And maybe Geshe-la was leading to this and saying, he wanted to hear how different people react to this question of pity and compassion. And how can you, for a person that's hurting you or you deem that this person is negative? So keeping that neutral, Geshe-la, as he starts, he goes, and then he laughs, he goes, ha. And then he starts and he asks Lamola to point it to page 162 of the Gold Prayer Book, the 8 verses of the thought transformation. Okay? And it says, whenever I see beings who are wicked in nature and overwhelmed by violent and negative actions and suffering, I shall hold such rare ones dear as if I have found a precious treasure. Probably a shocking statement for that person who has that kind of a mindset of asking that question, but he followed up by saying, do you get the point? He's turning this around. He wants us to participate, and he's saying, do you get the point? And of course, some people are shaking head, and others are like, what are you talking about? Right? And he also asks, what does it mean to you? Okay? So, let me go to This is the statement. I'm sorry, I have to kind of link my brain with the slideshow here. Again, just take a look at it one more time. Whenever I see beings who are wicked in nature and overwhelmed by violent negative actions and suffering, I shall hold such rare ones dear as if I had found a precious treasure. So wonderful, wonderful. And at some point in the next class, and I'll repeat it again, so pardon me, but he said that he does this, the verses of 8 transformational thoughts, every single day. He does that. He says it is tremendous power to kind of make you think about, if you're talking about generating, protecting your mind or developing compassion, a wonderful practice. Okay? So the answer was, what he was very simply leading to, his point was, your happiness and your peace of mind is most important. Okay? So we're thinking about somebody who's harming and somebody who's hurting and somebody who's wicked and somebody who's violent, but he's saying, what is it doing to your mind? Okay, so see how slowly he got this whole information out, compassion, pity. By the way, he also mentioned the Tibetan word for, it's called ninje. And let me say exactly how he said it. In Tibetan, they use the single word ninje to describe pity or compassion, which means to help others overcome difficulty with no negative connotation. We have all this empathy and sympathy and compassion and pity, and everybody will argue slightly differently, kind of get the general idea, but we have our own definitions. He's taking us all into thinking one way right now, and he's saying, okay, all that is wonderful, but what is it doing to your mind? Okay. He says, if you get caught in the web of this negativity, now what happens? We've allowed ourselves to get into the web of the negative mind, and then now we have 2 negative minds. See? So it's amazing. It's like a funnel. It's like, oh yeah, compassion, and I can do this, and I don't like this, but how come I don't trust this guy? You go through this process, and in the end, it comes down to, what about your own mind? How do you deal with it? It's an amazing, amazing technique that I think he skillfully has done. And then he repeated a couple of things. You can avoid the object, okay? But be alert. Be awake, not be blind. It's not like you're ignoring, like somebody's put a blinders on you. You are aware of what's going on. It's how you interpret and what you let in your mind is important. He also said, as human beings will face this all the time with family, friends, TV, social media, workplace. You know, you watch a TV show, you hear a lot of these things, the chatter starts, and there goes compassion. Right? So he's again telling us to be mindful of what you watch and what you let in. And he says, he does acknowledge in his teaching that it is difficult, but you must start slowly, otherwise how will you gain universal compassion? To become a Buddha, you need to have universal compassion. If we can't deal with even individuals or a TV show or a social media blip, how will you develop universal compassion? Again, setting the stage for us to understand the money mantra. Okay? This is what got me to Kadampa Center, his laugh. The first class I was here, he goes, ha ha, and I'm like, this is great. So this is, and Geshe says, every single person, when they open their eyes, they're looking for happiness. If you remember the class, he says, look around, ask, do you like suffering? Do you want? And you won't find it. He says, does it matter if you are Buddhist, Christian, Muslim, Hindu, Tibetan, Western? It doesn't matter. Every sentient being is looking for happiness. So he's setting the stage, right? So then the question is, of course, in our mind, then why develop compassion? If it's difficult, what's the purpose of developing compassion? And even if you have it and sometimes it goes away, how do I, Geshe, preserve it? How do I maintain it, right? So I'd like to have another quote here. I love this one when he said that. Great love or compassion is like a fire. And anger is like a piece of log. Compassion burns the log. I thought that was fantastic. Yeah. So we'll keep that over there, and we'll talk about why develop compassion. I remember very clearly that he got into a nice conversation about how deeply we are connected. Just like Jill had said, think about mother sentient beings and the connections we have. So that he said about, okay, if we can't even think fourth or fifth generation back, who was your grandfather or grandmother? We can't even think about them. We don't know who they were, maybe. Some people may, but let's go to seventh or eighth. The point again is, we are still connected. We may not know them, but we are connected. He even went back to the first father and mother, if there were to go back many lifetimes, right? There is some level of connection from mother and father to children to progeny. He talked about DNA. We are so lucky now we can even find out. Sometimes you may look a certain way, but you may have a European blood or Asian blood or an African blood. We are beginning to learn those things because we are all connected. And in Buddhism, a deep connection is considered like mother and child. Right? So that's why we say mother sentient beings. So many times you hear that in prayers, may all sentient beings or mother sentient beings. So we've had relationships with each other. So we are all connected. And so it's important that we have compassion for each other. So he's talking about that. And he again, several times talks about, it doesn't matter if you're Russian, Western, Chinese, Indian, American, all that good stuff. Just look around and you know that you're connected. This is the reason when we say the four immeasurables that Dana mentioned this morning, recited in our prayers, it says, may all beings have happiness. It again doesn't say a certain group of people of ideology or culture have happiness. All beings. And we are talking about sentient beings. Who are we talking about? In Tibetan, they call it Semchen, mind possessors. So that includes all beings, includes your pets and animals and those creatures out there. Have compassion. Right? Okay, so now the question is, how do I keep it going? So it's a very simple answer he gives. He says, we must consistently think that we are all connected. That's one way. We need to be careful what you let in your mind. That's what we watch on TV again, or social media. He calls that a black box, by the way, in his recording. It's just a black box. I don't watch it, he goes. Okay? It can destroy your peace of mind. It's not saying never watch it. Okay? It's what you watch and what you let in. You should learn to protect your mind. Right? That's what he's talking about. Okay? Then we can think about based on our connections. We've been talking about all the connections we have. And then you can also think about conditions of people. Some people are fortunate, other people are not, but we are connected, so have compassion for all. Okay? And lastly, you can certainly recite mantra and protect your own mind. That's one way of protecting and preserving your compassionate mind. So why we should have compassion and how do we preserve it? That's the two questions he asked, right? Okay. Okay. A good point to take away from this setting the stage conversation is, again, reiterated in bold letters, protect your peace of your mind, protect the peace of your mind. Otherwise we become like a walking time bomb. And then we walk around with this heightened craziness, and somebody says something to you and you explode. And you can see that. You see mass shootings and all of these things. Just think of what mindset is that, right? Lack of compassion. Okay? So, very poignant. And of course, at the time he was teaching one of the classes, we had all the negative things going on, but he does mention the fact that protect your own mind first. Okay? And then of course, here's a mantra. It's in different languages. You see this all over the place. And he mentions the fact that you go to Nepal, India, It's all over the place, on the rocks and on the flags and so many places. It's good to be familiar with it, what it looks like. Okay, so we'll review the money mantra now. And again, the mantra is Om Mani Padme Hum. I understand some of you are already practicing it. Denise did a wonderful job going through the meditation of each syllable. If time permitting, we'll do that today. Okay. Again, Geshe reminds us that mantra benefits all sentient beings, all mind possessors, and it's often found on the flags and the prayer wheels and the carved stones. It is simple and easy to use. He kind of sidetracked a little bit about his visit to California, and they joke that people don't have time in the Western world to do these long mantras and memorize these long things. Well, Geshe said, here's a 6-syllable mantra you can very easily remember, right? So it's very simple to use. And one can develop kindness even understanding this mantra and reciting it while you are practicing this. And he gave us a hint that one day maybe Kadampa Center may have a huge prayer wheel out there for children to go around, for sentient beings to go around, and it can even make a little sound like ting, 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 and people will keep going. So maybe a little seed in our mind that one day we should think about having a nice, huge prayer wheel in our front, just like the stupa is. Maybe we can have one. Okay, so the mantra. What is a mantra? Maybe I should ask somebody, because there's so many advanced students. I should be learning from them. What is a mantra? Maybe Jill, you can answer. That which protects your mind. Even if you think on a very simple level, if you're driving your car, your mind is all over the place. I'm late, I'm doing, why is she crossing this over? Why is he doing this? Right? Think about that, start doing a mantra. Just driving, pay attention, but you do your mantra. All of a sudden your mind is somewhere else. It's not thinking negative, so it protects your mind. Very simple. And Geshe says these are not just words you repeat. Don't think just by repeating words you're saying a mantra. Otherwise you would have many pizzas in your house. That's what he said. It's a sacred word. It has meaning. It has visualization. And once you take it in and when you see these words, it's a very sacred mantra. It becomes a sacred mantra. It is associated with a specific energy and a color. And then there was a whole topic on color. And Geshe asked a question, does color mean something to you? Again, setting a little stage to have a discussion. And I remember, Jill, you mentioned that you had been to a seminar and you saw blue as healing and green as nurturing, and I believe you said orange was little agitation, and you had some colors like that. And then there was another young lady who said she goes to Qigong, I believe, and they usually associate color with internal organs. So when you go in the nature, you can merge the outside world with the inside world. And then Sandy in the back talked about, she's been in marketing and videography, fully aware how colors are used to manipulate our marketing. Every advertisement that you see, every brochure that you see, very thoughtfully colored, color coordinated. These are all thoughts. These are all imprints, right? So that's how when you see the big M, you know it's a McDonald's. You know what it looks like, colors, right? So that's how it works. It's also been used in hospitals, jails, schools, many, many places. They have done a lot of scientific studies to find out how certain colors will have an effect on a person's mind. So color means something, was the whole point. Okay? So according to Vajrayana, this is according to Geshe again, according to Vajrayana, every thought has a positive and a negative energy. Thought has an energy. That's how when you say the prayers, when you turn that wheel, you're thinking that energy rides on that, the thought rides on that energy. So it's very important when you do the prayers, what you say. Okay? And the energy does not have a positive or any colors. Either positive or a negative energy is not associated with the color, according to Vajrayana. However, it has the power and the ability to affect. So he also mentions the fact that when we chant as a group, in a group, It creates a lot of energy. He said that many, many times. When we do chanting or prayers as a group, you are not only creating immense merit, but has a powerful energy. So it's always, he always suggests that let's do the prayers together, right? So his words of wisdom, let's see. We'll talk about this in one moment. A couple of words of wisdom I wanted to point out. He said, the minute your mind is positive, life has purpose and meaning. Something to think about. This is what Geshe said. Educate yourself and understand compassion. It is badly needed here and all over the world. Yeah. Okay, and we already saw that on one of the slides. Every single person, when they open their eyes, they're looking for happiness. It doesn't matter if they're Asian American, Buddhist, non-Buddhist, atheist, or non-atheist. They're looking for happiness, and that is the base. That is the foundation. And that everyone loves that. A kind person people like. And that's a fact. He ends by saying, and that's a fact. So let's take a look at the mantra syllable by syllable. I'll keep a mindful eye on the clock. Okay. So the first one is obviously letter Om. Om, Ma, Ni, Pe, Me, Hum. 6 syllables. Om has 3 parts. First of all, it's associated with the color white. White is associated with purification, purity. Those who practice Vajrasattva or other practices in purification, they're always depicted in white color for purification purposes. So Om is white in color. The obscuration, or it eliminates pride. It's a power to eliminate. It purifies and eliminates arrogance and pride. Okay, for those very technical, there are 6 realms according to Buddhism. It's associated with the God realm, just for knowledge sake. Om has 3 parts, A, U, and Ma. Om. A is associated with body, U with speech, and Ma associated with mind. So body, speech, and mind. Purification of body, speech, and mind. That's why you see Om in so many mantras in the beginning or in the end, or both. It's a very powerful mantra that precedes or sometimes even goes to the end of a mantra. So that's why we have Om. Purifies body, speech, and mind. So when you visualize, we'll just talk about it, you visualize a white light emanating from your body that touches the beings around you. So you're going to think about this. A white light coming out of your body. Okay? You're thinking about Om. The syllable Om, that's what you're focusing. And then you when you're meditating, you think of this white light emanating out. And then it touches beings around you, your family members, friends, and others. And the moment it touches, it eliminates the problem created by pride. Again, a sacred word, Om. Okay, so I have a question for the group. So what type of problems are created by arrogance and pride? Any example, or somebody would like to say a word or two? Maybe you can pass the mic around. It would be nice to have an interactive conversation. Think about arrogance and pride. What kind of problems it can create?
Is it on? Okay. So I think of that it creates a barrier between you and the other person, and also separates by, like, I think when people are arrogant or prideful, that they think that they're above everybody else, so it creates an automatic barrier.
Fantastic, thank you. Somebody else? An example of something that may have happened? Oh, go ahead.
Not so much of an example, but I was just thinking about when somebody's arrogant, they also make decisions that harm everybody in the situation, such as if an arrogant doctor makes a misdiagnosis and it becomes like a medical error, or somebody that wants to stay home during a hurricane. That's not the very good. I mean, I get that some people can't escape, but but is like destined to stay there because they're like they built it and they're going to die in it, and then that's a loss that hurts other people. So it's like kind of thinking about those.
Yeah, that's excellent. You know what came to my mind this morning? I was thinking like, okay, if somebody says something, what example do you have? And I thought of it, and we'll go to the next one here, is the recent scams with those parents buying the school, those positions in those exclusive schools with rich parents. Just think about the arrogance of they're rich, I'm proud, and I can get whatever I want, right? It cut out so many people deserving students. Look at the ripple effect of that, right? That's arrogance, that's pride, and it causes so much problems, right? Yeah, somebody.
I was thinking about if I'm feeling prideful about a piece of information or something that I know it, then I'm not open to receive more information about it, or there's this chance I could be wrong. So if you actually are wrong, then you're not even open to hear the new because then you're just embarrassed. So it creates this whole chain reaction.
Chain reaction.
And so I've started this new thing where I just assume I could be wrong right when I say it. Like, I could be wrong. And it is so helpful. Because if I'm going, no, I got this. Like, I know this one is finally right, and if you could still be wrong. But even if you aren't, you're telling the other person I know more than you, or you're just setting up it just feels like it sets up a chain of events. So information can't come in.
Thank you. All right. Excellent.
Is that it?
Good. Let's move on. I got to keep time on my sets. All right. Okay, Ma. So Om, now we're going to start with Ma. So Ma is associated with green color. Okay, green color. Okay. It eliminates envy, jealousy. For technical people who want to know more, associated with demigod realms. And Geshe talked about it, how they're always fighting each other. He says he's never been there, so he doesn't know. But it's associated with demigod, because they're jealous. That's their nature. And green color is also associated with virtue, virtuous energy. And Geshe talked about two types of virtue very shortly. He said the virtues that we actually have in this mundane world, just a virtuous person. But you can also have a spiritual virtue if you're practicing a certain with a certain deity, or you want to develop a relationship with, say, Chenrei Zeg or medicine Buddha. You can develop a certain virtuous mindset also, it's like spiritual and mundane. He talked about two virtuous minds. So when we are jealous, we should analyze that. Does it take away the peace of your mind when you're jealous? Do you get agitated? Think about it. When would we get jealous? Somebody has something that you want. Somebody has a lot of money or something. Somebody has a big house, whatever the case may be. Think about the kids even today that don't have versus people who have. What happens? The bullying starts. I want it. Think about some examples in your mind, and maybe some of you may have some examples, but let me finish the visualization, how you should think about it, and then we'll ask if you can come up with one example or two examples. So in visualization, we visualize this green light, okay, emanating from your body that touches the beings around you and your family members, friends, and others. And the moment it touches them, it eliminates problems created by jealousy or envy. Okay, so think about those colors, think about that for a while, and have one or two examples. Feel free to talk about that. So, anybody has any questions or, oh yeah. So question is, can you think of an example how envy or jealousy can cause a problem?
When you're jealous of somebody else, it means you're dissatisfied with what you have and you don't have appreciation. So you don't appreciate what you have. You're not grateful for what you have. And that could be a big problem.
Thank you. That's wonderful. And that really tells a lot. Yeah, Andre.
I think also envy sets you up for the problem of attachment, right? We want this person doesn't have, I want, And then once we get there, then we become attached, and then, as we all know, that is the crux of suffering.
Yeah.
We begin to suffer because of our intense need
Right.
to have this thing.
Right, Andre, and to your point, then you look for legal and illegal means to get those things, right? So that causes a whole nother problem. All right, so that was ma. We're gonna take a look at ni. Okay, so again, ni is associated with yellow. It eliminates doubt, and in specifically negative doubt. Geshe went over 3 types of doubt: a positive doubt, a negative doubt, and a neutral or equal doubt, he called. And he only gave example of one. And he says, for example, there are some people who went to a monastery in base camp in Mount Everest, if I remember it, to look for that Yeti. They had some proof of Yeti, but it was in such a dirty glass, thick glass case that when you get there, you kind of see something. There's a skull with brown color, but maybe it's true, maybe it's not true. So that's the neutral doubt. And then a negative doubt is somebody goes away from the fact. I can give a good example before somebody says climate change. For example, I'm not proponent or anti. I'm just saying that is something, when you hear things, the science is telling you something is going on, at least you should put some faith and look into it. Maybe true, maybe not, but that's one way to look at it. And then positive doubt, that you want to learn. You have some question in your mind, but you are open to learn, to accept, to find out. That's a different type of doubt, and he calls it a positive doubt. It's called a valid cognizer. It actually cognizes the mind properly. That's like, okay, it makes sense. It is fact. Yes, this is true. Like, so it's taking steps towards it. So anyways, there are 3 types of doubt. There's plenty of writing on that. Okay. So the color yellow, ni, eliminates doubt, and it's associated with human realm. You can see that, very doubtful. And the visualization is, we visualize a yellow light emanating from your body. Okay, and then it emanates out and touches beings around you, friends, family, and others. And the minute it touches, it eliminates problem associated with doubts. That's the kind of thinking you should have. So a nice light emanating. Then Geshe said, when you put the word ma and ni together, it becomes mani, like a syllable. Mani, so it's ma and ni separately. Mani means wish-fulfilling jewel. If you just look at the translation of the word money, it's a wish-fulfilling jewel. Okay? It is, because of the essence of the time, I'll continue this so we can do a meditation, okay? Pay, or written as pad sometimes, but it's pronounced pay often. Okay, it is associated with the color blue. It eliminates ignorance, not knowing. Associated with animal realm. And Geshe made this statement: we can't learn anything with just a wish. You have to put in an effort. So ignorance, not knowing, if you want to learn something, you got to put in some effort. Okay. He was also very poignant in saying, whether spiritual or mundane world, we need wisdom to free ourselves from ignorance. So for those people in Lamrim classes or DB learning emptiness, spiritual wisdom is talking about emptiness, and mundane world, we're talking about simply not knowing, don't know how to use something. Well, then take the manual, learn it, and figure it out, right? That's the ignorance he's talking about. So very nicely put in one sentence, he said, whether spiritual or mundane world, we need wisdom to free ourselves from ignorance. Visualization would be, we visualize a blue light emanating from your body that touches the beings around you, your family, friends, or others, and the moment it touches them, it eliminates the problem of ignorance. Okay? There's a mistake on the slide. It shouldn't be a dark blue, it's just blue. It's a lighter blue. Dark blue is home. But anyways, sorry about that. I'll make a correction there. Okay, the next one is May. It's, just as it says, associated color is red. It's really the big one here, eliminates attachment. And it's associated with hungry ghost realm. All problems and complication occurs because we cling so tightly. And what Geshe says, we all have attachment. It's easy to say, oh, we should not be attached. We all have. It is don't cling tightly and slowly work towards detaching a little bit. Will alleviate a lot of problems. He gave a very good example of his attachment to his squirrel friend and a persimmon tree, if you remember. And he does that quite often. Okay, persimmon tree and fruit. He talks about how when the spring comes, the squirrel comes out, and there goes his obsessive nature or possessive nature. He's been watering the plants, and he's been thinking the fruits will come out, and the squirrel come up, and they start eating the fruit, and so he's chasing them around. He even talked about taking the hose out, starts to shoot water, and sometimes his feet get wet. Mosquitoes bite him, but he's chasing them around. And he says, lately he came to an understanding that for 30 years in monastery, he never had persimmon fruit. So he can live without it. And it really is all about letting go. And he finds himself in such a better place. And he says, also realize, put yourself in the other person's shoe. He used that words. And he says, or walking in the shoe, he asks other people, what do you say? And people say, walking in someone's shoe. And he's saying, squirrel is only doing that because he or she is hungry. We would do the same. If we were hungry and no food, we would look for it. So it just does what it knows best, right? So letting go. And that's a great way to let go attachments also. Sometimes look at it and see how attached we are and minimize some of that. It's a lot of layers on it, right? So that's what he's talking about. So now we went through Om, Ma, Ni, Mani, Pe, Me, so Padme. Padme together means lotus. So money is a wish-fulfilling jewel. Padme is a lotus. If you look at the painting, he talked about looking at some of this tanka, and when you look at the painting, it symbolizes pure thought and renunciation. Lotus as a symbol represents pure thought and renunciation. Then he says many times you'll see on the lotus there are two discs, like a sun disk and a moon disk. And says the sun disk is wisdom realizing emptiness. And a moon disk is bodhicitta, or altruistic attitude. So when you really put this together, the renunciation, the wisdom, and bodhicitta, for those in Lamrim, those are the three principal aspects of the path. Right? Very important to know. So again, renunciation, bodhicitta, and wisdom. And again, he was very, it says, if you do not cling or have attachment, you achieve ultimate happiness. And then he people says, do you think this is correct? And this could be a big question. This could go into a whole nother class, attachment. For many of you, I'm just mentioning it because it's been taught here many, many times. We talk about the three poisons, attachment being one. That's all you know when we talk about that three poisons sometimes. Attachment, aversion, ignorance. We talk about that all the time. But attachment is a big piece there. So because of the time, we won't look for example, what attachment causes. We have all kind of examples, how you're attached, home, car, places, material, and what it causes, how we go crazy working for it. Andres talked about an example. Once we have that attachment, then we do all kind of crazy things. So obviously, creates a lot of negative mindset. Okay. Last but least is whom. Okay. Its associated color is dark blue. Remember, pei is just lighter blue. This is dark blue. Sometimes they even say black, but it's a very dark blue. It eliminates anger. The visualization would be, if we visualize a dark blue light emanating from our body, that it that it touches anybody or any being around you, a family, friend, or others, and that the moment it touches, it eliminates the problem created by anger. So let's take a look at that for a moment. Om, Ma, Ni, Pe, the blue is correct here, Me, Hum. And what it eliminates. Each syllable and their associated color and the negative states of mind that it overcomes. Use this to transform to something pure. This mantra is very powerful. So now you can see link to the first thing we talked about, compassion, pity, and how he talked about protecting your mind. Once you understand how do you preserve your compassion, how do you develop your compassion, now when you take this mantra with it and practice your compassion, it is a very powerful mantra, right? It is said millions of times by people all around the world. Very powerful. And how skillfully he slowly took us to this, and then he asked that Sundays or once in a while that people actually, you volunteer to do a meditation on Om Mani Padme Hum. Remember the kindness of others, and when you benefit others, your happiness grows. Conclusion. Let's take a look at this. This is, I think it was taken from either a retreat prayer book or the Guru Puja, LC 104, very powerful. And again, to start off, it says, we create our own unhappiness with all these unhealthy thoughts that are generated by pride and arrogance, jealousy, doubt, ignorance, attachment, anger. And Lamola read this paragraph, even if I must remain for an ocean of eons in the fiery hells of Avicii, for the sake of even just one sentient being, I seek your blessings to complete the perfection of enthusiasm that out of compassion untiringly strives for supreme enlightenment. Talks about the power of compassion, how one must think to develop compassion, how one must preserve the compassion. And Geshe finishes this off by saying, our motivation is to develop compassion. He says, relax, breathe, and meditate. Even when you're drinking coffee, don't think about the coffee. It's what is in your head. It's all good. That's what Geshe said. Okay? So, how wonderful, right? Any questions? We have basically 20 minutes, so that allows us to do maybe a 10 or 15 minute of meditation, and then our closing prayers, and then we'll be done, dedication and closing prayers. Would you like to lead a meditation, or I can continue? Denise, you want to do it? Want to do it? It's wonderful to participate. Or Donna, or somebody, whoever wants to do it. I can do it, it sits right here, but it would be nice.
I'm happy to do.
Okay.
Unless somebody else wants a chance to do one. Okay, so I love your slides, Hemant. Those are great. Okay, so we're going to do the visualization that Hemant has described, and we will say each syllable 3 times so we have time to think and do the visualization. So for the first one, just get yourself comfortable. We take a breath. Out longer than in. And with the motivation to develop compassion and to be of benefit to all beings. First, from the syllable Om, energy comes from the syllable, fills us up completely, and radiates out to all beings, immediately purifying all complications that have to do with pride. Let's say it together. Om. Om. And for the syllable ma, green color, energy coming from the syllable fills us completely. And green light radiates out to every single being. And as soon as it touches them, it eliminates every problem created by greed, jealousy, envy. And from the syllable ni, yellow in color, energy fills us up completely, every part of our body. And the light radiates out from our body out to every living being. And as it fills us, and as it touches them, for ourselves and others, it eliminates every problem created by doubt. And from the syllable pei, light bright blue in color, energy fills us up completely and radiates out to every being. This bright blue light, as we are filled and as it touches every being, it immediately eliminates all problems created by ignorance. And from the syllable mei, red in color, energy from the syllable fills us completely. And light radiates out to every being. As we are filled, and as the light touches every being, it immediately and completely eliminates every problem created by attachment. And from the syllable whom, dark blue in color. Energy from the syllable fills every part of us completely. And dark blue light radiates out to every single being. As we are filled, and as the light reaches others, immediately and completely purifies every problem created by anger. Mantra of compassion. Om Mani Padme Hum.
Please continue to stay in this position in your mind. Look at the whole mantra now. Look at the colors. Think about what it clears, how it helps. Mantra of compassion. Om Mani Padme Hum. Just take a minute or two more. Thank you, Denise. That was wonderful. That was wonderful. A little quote from Lama Zopa Rinpoche. Take a look at it. When a person who has recited 10 malas of Om Mani Padme Hum a day goes into the river or an ocean, the water that touches the person's body gets blessed, and his blessed water then purifies all the billions and billions of sentient beings in the water. It's just powerful. Lama Zopa Rinpoche. And I will end before we go into our end of the session prayers. I want you to think about this, as Geshe-la has said. It's a simple mantra, very powerful mantra. Principal aspect of the path, right? Compassion. So it's most powerful wing. Geshe-la says, with his beautiful smile, I'll leave you there. But just Om Mani Padme Hum. So thank you very much for the class today. Yeah, please, Ona.
Thanks, Hemant. That was wonderful. We'll start with, on page 191, the praises to the 21 Taras. This is on the advice of Lama Zopa Rinpoche to create the causes for the next Light of the Path retreat, which will be happening right at this time next year. From your sublime abode at the Potala, O Tara, born from the green letter Tam, your crown adorned with Amitabha, action mother of the Buddhas of the three times, Tara, please come with your attendants. The gods and demigods bow to your lotus feet, O Tara, you who rescue all who are destitute. To you, Mother Tara, I pay homage. Om, I prostrate to the noble, transcendent liberator. Homage, Tara, swift, heroic, eyes like lightning instantaneous, sprung from opening stamens of the Lord of Three Worlds, tear-born lotus. Homage, she whose face combines 100 autumn moons at fullest, blazing with light rays resplendent as 1,000-star collection. Homage, golden blue and lotus, water-born in hand adorned, giving effort, calm austerities, patience, meditation, her sphere. Homage, crown of Tathagatas, actions triumph without limit, relied on by conquerors' children, having reached every perfection. Homage, filling with Tutare, whom desire direction and space, trampling with her feet the seven worlds, able to draw forth all beings. Homage, worshipped by the All-Lord, Chakra, Agni, Brahma, Marut, honored by the host of spirits, corpses, Gandharvas, Yakshas, Homage with her tray and pace sounds, destroying foes' magic diagrams. Her feet pressing left out right in, blazing in a raging fireplace. Homage to her very dreadful, destroyer of Mara's champions. She was frowning lotus visage, who was slayer of all enemies. A heart her fingers, adorn her with regal mudra. Light ray masses all excited, all directions wills adorn her. Homage she so joyous radiant, crown emitting garlands of light. Mirthful laughing with tutare, subjugating Mara's devas. Homage she able to summon all earth guardians assembly, shaking, frowning with her homeless sign, saving from every misfortune. Homage crown adorned with crescent, moon all ornaments most shining. Amitabha in her hair knot, sending out much light eternal. Homage she mid wreath ablaze like eon ending fire abiding. Restless weapon joy surround you, troops of enemies destroying. Homage she who strikes the ground with her palm and with her foot beats it, scowling with the letter whom the 7 levels she does conquer. Homage happy, virtuous, peaceful, she whose field is peace nirvana. She endowed with omen soha, destroyer of the great evil. Homage she with joy surrounded, tearing foes' bodies asunder. Trees with whom in knowledge mantra, arrangement of the 10 letters. Homage to her with seed letter of the shape of syllable whom shakes the 3 worlds, Meru, Mandara, and Vindhya. Homage holding in her hand the hair-marked moon of Deva lake form, with voice spoken Tara and Pei, totally dispelling poison. Homage she whom gods and their kings and the kinnaras do honor, armored in all joyful splendor. She dispels bad dreams and conflicts. Homage she whose 2 eyes bright with radiance of sun and full moon, with voice Hara and Tutare. She dispels severe contagion. Homage full of liberating power by the set of 3 natures, destroys hosts of spirits, yakshas, and raise corpses supreme Ture. These praises with rude mantras and prostrations thus are 21. And on page 190, the prayer of the benefits. Whoever is endowed with devotion for the goddess and recites this with supreme faith, remembering it at dawn upon waking and in the evenings, will be granted all fearlessness, will perfectly pacify all negativities, and will eliminate all unfortunate migrations. The multitudes of conquerors will quickly grant initiation. Thus endowed with this greatness, one will eventually reach the state of a Buddha. If affected by the most terrible poison, whether ingested, drunk, or from a living being, just by remembering will one be thoroughly cleansed. If this prayer is recited 2, 3, or 7 times, it will pacify all the sufferings of torments caused by spirits, fevers, and poisons, and by other beings as well. If you wish for a child, you will get a child. If you wish for wealth, you will receive wealth. All your wishes will be fulfilled, and all obstacles pacified. And then on page 246, the Shantideva dedication.
Yes.
May all beings everywhere, plagued by sufferings of body and mind, obtain a notion of happiness and joy by virtue of my merits. May no living creature suffer, commit evil, or ever fall ill. May no one be afraid or belittled with a mind weighed down by depression. May the blind see forms and the deaf hear sounds. May those whose bodies are worn with toil be restored on finding repose. May the naked find clothing, the hungry find food. May the thirsty find water and delicious drinks. May the poor find wealth, those weak with sorrow find joy. May the forlorn find hope, constant happiness, and prosperity. May there be timely rains and bountiful harvests. May all medicines be effective, and wholesome prayers bear fruit. May all who are sick and ill quickly be freed from their ailments. Whatever diseases there are in the world, may they never occur again. May the frightened cease to be afraid, and those bound be freed. May the powerless find power, and may people think of benefiting each other. For as long as space remains, for as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. And then flip forward a page and we'll say the short long life prayers. In the land encircled by snow mountains, you are the source of all happiness and good. All-powerful Chenrezig Tenzin Gyatso, please remain until samsara ends. The one who mastered his speech at a very young age, the one with great patience who received the name Avatare, the one with great precision who spread the teachings of Lama Tsongkhapa on bliss and void, Lama, ornament of the yellow hat tradition, please remain until samsara ends. You who uphold the subduer's moral way, who serve as the bountiful bearer of all, sustaining, preserving, and spreading Manjunath's victorious doctrine, who masterfully accomplish magnificent prayers honoring the three jewels, Savior of myself and others, your disciples, please, please live long. And now 7 green Tara mantras for the long, happy, healthy lives of our precious teachers, Geshe and Geshe Sangpo. Om Tare Tu Re So Ha. 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 Om Tare Tu Re So Ha.
Thank you. Perfect timing. Look at that. 11:59.
Hi, I'm Elise. I just wanted everybody to know that next Saturday, September the 14th, there's a free healthcare day sponsored by the Satya Sai Society and Pullen Baptist Church. So if you know anybody who has no insurance and really needs some health care, please let them know about this. One of these posters is by the back door. You could take a picture of it. And they're going to provide free screening, testing, and consultation for adults and children. Anyone under 18 has to have an adult with them, of course. They do adult and child doctor visits, blood pressure and blood sugar checks, diabetes tests, women's health, medical referrals, eye screening, cholesterol tests, school health assessments, and STD testing. Eyeglasses for corrective vision will be available, and it is to this that you also generously donated 84 pair of eyeglasses. So thank you all, and please let people know if they need help. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm going to start off with a question for you guys. I could be wrong. Probably am. But I think I heard Geshe say that we can also do the Mani Mantra for His Holiness's long life, that we've been asked to do that. Do you remember that? So that we were to repeat that purposely for his long life. So I'm probably wrong. Well, you can do it anyway, right? Okay. So the announcements today are, what are they? Yes. So the first one is, well, let's just start with membership. Sandy, who you just seen, is going to do the new membership orientation. And so I'm going to leave it up to you guys to decide whether you meet outside around the conference center and here, because we also have once a month we have a duplication of 2 things happening, the Q&A for the newcomers. So Joey's going to do that. He's right there. So that's really brief, like 10 minutes. So it's beneficial for the newcomers to be in here so that he can point to some things. So I'll let you work that out.
How many newcomers are there?
Oh, yeah.
Today? Let's just do that. Raise your hand. Okay. How many new members will we have? Well, then that's the second.
Okay. So Joey will meet the newcomer here in the Kadampa. And I have a survey question I wanted to ask. This is just for the communication team. On the website, when you're looking at the homepage and you see banners, how many of you are aware that they're there? Oh, it's called a carousel, and they're the rotating images that pop in and out when you're there, so the classes and things that are going on. So I'm curious, are you aware that they're there? Raise your hand. Well, that changed. I was wrong. So how many of you actually go there to actually look at anything, or does it help you when you see it? Well, then look at there. Okay, I didn't know that. How many click on it? Well, that changes everything. I thought. Okay, so then the last thing is there's a big cleanup happening today. So how many knew about that? Okay, so if you are coming, we had one person actually do the Sign Up Genius. I put that in the second email. So Paul Thank you. So if you did want to come, we're going to meet outside, eventually around the table, maybe not right this minute, but in a few. We'll order pizza once we see how many people were there. And then if you didn't know about it and you want to come and just help a little bit, just please feel free to do that. So we're going to try to really clean up the entire ground. So it's a big deal for us to get, Heather called this one time, tour ready. So no matter what's happening, if anybody was to come to visit, we want to be beautiful everywhere. And so behind our buildings, it is not pretty. So we're going to clean it all up everywhere. So thank you. And not just for visitors, but for our Geshes. Yes, for our Geshes, for anything that's going to happen at the center. We want anywhere. If Geshe said, I need something, he went behind a building, we'd be like, no. So we want to be beautiful everywhere. Inside now.